Okay, everyone. It's now 6 o'clock, so can we please start the live stream? I'm sure we can. And first of all, I just want to welcome everyone to this meeting of North Tyneside Council's Cabinet, which is the 6th virtual Cabinet meeting, following the recent introduction of regulations to allow remote meetings in the light of the current coronavirus pandemic. My name is Norma Redfern, and I'm the elected Mayor of North Tyneside, and I will be chairing this meeting. I would like to inform everyone that this meeting is being live streamed on the Council's YouTube channel to enable the public to observe the proceedings, and I'd like to welcome everyone who's watching. Before we move on to the agenda, I'd like to make it clear who is participating in the meeting, and in order to check who's in the meeting, I would like to ask everyone present to confirm their attendance. First of all, I'll call out the names of each Cabinet member. After I call your name, please turn on your microphone and camera and introduce yourself, stating your portfolio area. Councillor Bruce Pickard.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Bruce Pickard. I'm the Deputy Mayor. I'm also Councillor for Riverside Ward. My portfolio responsibilities include regeneration, planning and business and economic development.
Councillor Gary Bell.
Yeah, good evening everyone. I'm Councillor Gary Bell and I'm the Cabinet Member for Adult Social Care.
Councillor Carol Burtis.
Councillor Carol Burtis, Cabinet Member for Engagement and Community Safety.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Cox. We'll just move on then. Councillor Sarah Day.
Councillor Sarah Day's asked me to put her apologies in, Mayor.
Right, thank you. I know, yeah. Councillor Peter Early.
I am Councillor Peter Early. I'm the Cabinet Member for Children, Young People and Learning.
And Councillor Ray Glindon.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Councillor Ray Glindon, Cabinet Member for Finance and Resources.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Margaret Hall.
Hello, I'm Councillor Margaret Hall, Cabinet Member for Public Health and Wellbeing.
And Councillor Carl Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor. My name is Councillor Carl Johnson. I am the Cabinet Member for Environment and Transport.
Thank you. Can I now ask the officers in attendance to introduce themselves? After I call out your name, please turn on your microphone and camera and introduce yourself. Paul Hanson.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. My name is Paul Hanson. I'm Chief Executive of North Tyneside Council.
Wendy Burke. No? Bryn Roberts.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. My name is Bryn Roberts. I'm the Head of Law and Governance and I'm the Council's Monitoring Officer.
And Janice Gillespie.
Good evening, Mayor. I'm Janice Gillespie. I'm Head of Resources and Chief Finance Officer for the Authority.
Jackie Lawton. No. Mark Longstaff.
Good evening, Mayor. Mark Longstaff, Head of Commission and Asset Management.
Thank you. Jackie Ord. No. John Sparks.
Good evening, Mayor. John Sparks, Head of Regeneration and Economic Development for the Council.
Dave Brown.
Good evening, everybody. Dave Brown, Democratic Services Manager.
I can now see Councillor Cox has joined us. Would you like to introduce yourself, Councillor Cox?
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and apologies for my late arrival. I'm Councillor Steve Cox. I'm the Council's Cabinet Member for Health.
Thank you very, very much. Can I now ask the young Mayor and our partners who are in attendance to introduce themselves? After I call your name, please turn on your microphone and camera and introduce yourself. Susie McKenzie.
Good evening, I'm Susie McKenzie and I'm the Young Mayor for North Tyneside.
Thank you. Karen Goldfinch.
Good evening, everybody. I'm the business representative for Chair of North Tyneside Business Forum.
Robin Fry.
Good evening, Robin Fry here on behalf of the voluntary and community sector.
Is Janice Hutton with us this evening? No. Roger Layton.
Hello, I'm Roger Layton and I'm the Joint Trade Union representative.
Thank you. And Dawn McNally.
Good evening, everybody. Dawn McNally, Chief Executive for Age UK North Tyneside, representing older people.
Thank you, Dawn. Is there anyone else present who I've missed? No? Well, thank you very much. In terms of etiquette this evening, can I please remind everyone to mute their microphone and turn off their video unless they are speaking? For today's meeting, we must first of all deal with some formalities. Apologies for absence, confirmation of minutes and declarations of interest. So we'll start first of all with any apologies for absence, David.
Only from Councillor Sarah Day, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Declarations of interest. Does any member wish to declare an interest in any terms of business on this agenda?
Madam Mayor, can I just bring attention to item number 9? It's in the case of my role with the Rising Sun Farm, which, although it doesn't have a direct contract with the council, does deal with people with learning difficulties.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Pickard.
Thank you, Mayor. I declare an registerable interest in item 14 as a council appointed director of North Tyneside Trading Company, of which Aurora Property Sales is part, and which I have been granted dispensation of the council.
Thank you, Councillor Pickard. Councillor Glindon.
Yeah, I couldn't find me thing there. Yes, I declare the same interest as Councillor Pickard.
Thank you, Councillor Glindon. Anyone else? Good. Well, can we agree the minutes of the last meeting held on the 19th of October 2020?
Madam Mayor, if I may, Councillor Early has got his hand up.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Councillor Early.
Yeah, just to just to declare interest in respect of items 5 and 6, in that I'm a trustee of North Tyneside Carer Centre, which has a contract with North Tyneside Council.
Thank you, Councillor Early. Can we now agree the minutes from the 19th of October?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. We now go on to item 4, and it's our Young Mayor's update. Over to you, Susie.
Thank you. Hello everyone, I hope that you're keeping well. Over the last few weeks, Member of UK Youth Parliament Abby and I have been continuing to review how young people have their say in North Tyneside. Letters have gone out to schools with a SNAP survey to find out if the school's council is running and how we can work more effectively with them. We've also looked at how the Youth Council operates and developed our own ideas to include new committees, which will each cover a theme important to young people. We will work on various projects that will help us fulfil our commitments and develop our pledges. The new committees will include an emotional wellbeing and a mental health committee, with a focus on my pledge to create better support in schools for mental health issues and work on improving and promoting mental health. There will be an environment committee which will focus on Abby's pledge, which aims to reduce the carbon footprint of North Tyneside. We are also looking to include a committee on BAME, increased opportunities, equalities and education. We will also be developing a young comms group who will be responsible for the social media, newsletters, videos and everything else that will get more important information out to young people and their families.
Good.
We hope that the committees will operate differently to our previous working groups. Rather than us working separately on projects, we want to create a more joined-up approach. This would mean the young committee members meeting with the responsible head of service and elected member, along with relevant partners. We know this work will be far more effective if we know what the council are already doing, their plans and how we can give a young person's perspective on an issue and support each other. We are already beginning to see the success of this with the Environment Group, who have better understanding after meeting with Councillor Johnson, Phil Scott and his team about what the Council are currently doing in their battle for climate crisis and how the aims of all of us are the same. The behavioural change that's needed from the people in the borough can be achieved by us working together. Together we'll be much stronger. Abby and some youth councillors have completed a film to show how people can reduce, reuse and recycle unwanted clothing rather than putting it in the recycling bin or rubbish bin. The completed film will be shared out widely on social media. This is another way of encouraging residents to support our work around climate change. Meeting with our elected mayor was very interesting. We know we are being supported to achieve our goals, and Norma has agreed with us that we need to work more closely with decision makers to make effective change. We have begun meeting regularly with our Chief Exec, Paul, too. We know we are being listened to and are pleased that we can finally influence decisions in the borough. Abby had good meetings with both North Tyneside MPs Mary Clinton and Alan Campbell, and these are going to become more regular. We are hoping for a longer term to be able to gather support at government level for our campaigns. I had an interesting meeting with the staff from YMCA who are currently working on a relatively new project called Healthy Habits. The project will be carried out in schools. Ambassadors are already in John Spence, Norham and Churchill Community College, and I'm hoping to have this set up in my school, St Thomas More too. This month I wanted to update you on our Send Youth Forum. They are a group of young people aged 11 to 25 who either have special educational needs and disabilities or have an interest in promoting youth voice for children and young people with SEND. The forum discusses issues that affect their lives, talk to decision makers from North Tyneside Council, Health and Social Care. They work in partnership with North Tyneside Youth Council and SEND Joint Schools Council. At the last meeting, they met with Kevin Burns from School Improvement to look at the SEND inclusion strategy. The group members were able to tell Kevin how they thought some parts of the plan would be communicated in a different way, specifically a video shown to students and to children and young people, explaining the key points in the plan rather than a Word document. In previous meetings, the group have been looking at children and young people section of the local offer with their focus on leisure and activities. The members suggested an area on the website that shows what is running and people can be doing now during COVID with social distancing. Helpful hints for those such as young people who can't take part face-to-face music lessons could use apps for music, and a link to this. I'm really looking forward to meeting up with the group soon. There are so many people waiting to meet and consult with the group, and I think it is likely for me to be in the form of an online social. Youth councillors and I were honoured to be able to take part in the virtual Remembrance Day services around the borough. As I mentioned in the last meeting this year, we have been encouraging children and young people in the borough to draw pictures of poppies to put on their windows, just like they did with the rainbows during lockdown. It went well, and I was happy to see that we were able to create a poppy trail around the borough. I was so pleased that many children from schools and individual households got involved, and we showed our respect for our fallen heroes. Finally, last week and the next week, youth councillors and I have been attending the State of the Area event workshops. We have all enjoyed contributing to the workshops and look forward to working with the various council teams moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much once again, Susie. I'm really pleased that you're actually going to work closer with our schools, because I think the more school council we can get working together across the borough can only actually enhance what we're doing with our youth councillors. So I think that's great. And as far as I'm concerned, I know my cabinet members are willing to work with you members and help wherever we can and listen to your ideas and see how we can work together to improve various areas we're working on in the council. And I was wondering if Councillor Johnson would like to tell us a little bit about how the environment works in the climate change with Abby.
Yeah, no problem. So Abby sits on our climate emergency board, which is the core board in the council as dealing with climate change. It's been really positive to have Abby on the board. Myself and Phil Scott met with, just before the current young mayor's time, met with Emily last year, the former young mayor, to discuss how we could move forward. And then me and Phil are going to the first meeting of the new environment group again, to discuss how we can work with the rest of the young councillors in the committee to see where we can go and how they can really feed into our climate change policy. Because when we declared the climate emergency, it was clear that the young people were at the heart of the reasoning for us declaring that. So it's been absolutely fantastic to have them supporting us and driving us on all the way through. And it'll be great to continue that relationship. And it'll be really good to see these passionate, bright, intelligent young people influencing our policy, and not just the climate emergency, but other areas of the council as well. It's really fantastic to see.
Thank you, Councillor. And I think we'll all welcome you to Be Quiet Us, because I think together we can enhance what we're doing on the council. And quite often, to Be Quiet Us, many of our young people have some fantastic ideas to share with us. And of course, they have a very strong voice to influence their parents and their grandparents and their aunties and uncles. So that's a good thing. So we need to get together. So thank you very much, Susie. I always look forward to hearing from you. And I just look forward to the future. I think we're going from strength to strength. And I'll say this again. And I'm sure many of our councillors and officers are extremely proud of our young people here in North Tyneside. Great ambassadors for the borough. Thank you so much indeed. Does anyone else want to comment on this? Can't see any hands for that. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thanks, Susie. We'll go on to the agenda. The agenda items contain 10 reports requiring decisions at this meeting. The Cabinet will be asked to pass the exclusion resolution to be able to consider agenda items 13, 15 in a private session, and the live stream will be switched off at that point. I will take each of the reports in turn in the order they appear on the agenda, which has been published on the Council's website. For each of the reports, I will ask the relevant Cabinet member to introduce the item. I will then ask members if they have any questions, and then ask them if any members wish to comment, and then ask members to approve the recommendations contained in the report. And the first report coming to us this evening is Financial Management Report, and it's going to be introduced by Councillor Glindon.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm pleased to present to Cabinet the third budget monitoring report for the current financial year, which reflects the forecast financial position to the 30th of September 2020. We all know that budget monitoring is vitally important. Although this report focuses on the first 6 months of the financial year, it also builds in known pressures and mitigating actions to give an estimate of our financial position to the end of March next year. This report is being prepared on a prudent basis, which you would expect. It is crucial that the Cabinet acknowledge the financial pressures being faced. For example, we do not take into account of savings and management actions until we are assured that they will be realised in practice. Like all local authorities, North Tyneside Council has felt the impact of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, and as such, this report contains considerations to the financial impact of the pandemic will have on the authority. The authority is considering the financial impacts of the pandemic and revising its financial modelling accordingly with the latest government guidance, and expects the forecast position to change over the time as the authority sees the impacts evolve and change. Like all authorities, North Tyneside is seeing a clear financial impact as a result of the pandemic. I think I've read that before. The current indications are that the COVID-19 funding received to date does not cover all anticipated costs or loss of income. Discussions are ongoing at both local and national level around the financing of the residual pressure expected as a result of the COVID-19. Taking the general fund first, it is forecast without further actions there is a pressure of £5.142 million against the budget, which was 11.41 in July. This after a forecasted transfer of reserves of 12.719 million relating to the Section 31 grants. Within the 5.142 figure, 4.259 million is a pressure resulting from COVID-19, and 10.629 million in July, and of 0.883, which was 7.81 million in July, can be considered as a pressure from normal activity. In relation to the pressures arising as a result of the COVID-19, the authority has received 3 payments of the Local Authority Support Grant funding from the government, a total of 14.308 million, of which 0.733 million was allocated to COVID-19 pressure arising in March 2020. An additional tranche of 2.061 million was allocated to North Tyneside in October. The remaining 15.636 million is being used to mitigate the total COVID-19 forecast costs of 25.703 million, along with the grants for test and trace of 1.140 million, infection control at 2.250 million, and compensation for sales, fees and charges of 2.463 million, leaving 4.259 million gap included in the overall forecast pressure. Services are continuing to work to identify options to manage the in-year pressures of 0.883 million to ensure the delivery of the efficiency savings targets and once again deliver a balanced position at the end of the year. In terms of schools, the total planned deficit for 2020 to 2021 is 6.681 million. Cabinet will be aware that the authority has been working with schools for a number of years with regard to the long-term strategic issue of surplus secondary places and the associated financial pressures which continue to be compounded by rising employment costs. As anticipated, excuse me, it's anticipated 2019-20 was a fifth year of balances decreasing following a long-term trend of rising balances in North Tyneside, and the overall projected balances for 2020-21 continue this trend. As well as the school balances reducing overall, some individual schools continue to face significant financial challenges. There are 14 schools reporting deficits in September 2020, with 7 of these schools continuing to be in deficit following the 2019-20, and 7 schools that are new to deficit in 2021. Cabinet will recall that high needs block ended in 2019-20 with a pressure of 4.542 million. Current forecasts of the budget position for 2021 indicates an anticipated in-year pressure of 3.457 million, reflecting a further rise in demand for special school places. I'm happy to report there are no major issues in respect of the HRA with regards to its normal activity. And although these services are currently forecasting an in-year pressure of 0.259 million, the service continues to monitor the impact of welfare reform on rent collection. The service has also identified a potential 1.620 million of COVID-19 related costs. Moving on to the investment plan, details are included in the annex of the projects to be delivered this year, and officers have carried out a detailed review of the plan, resulting in a proposed level of reprogramming of just under 1.1 million and variations of just over 6.9 million. Cabinet is advised to approve the recommendations in this report, and these are set out in section 1.2 of the Cabinet report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Glynn. I know you have worked. I think there's echoing. I just want to say thank you very much, Councillor Glynn. I know you've been working extremely hard with our officers. These are difficult times. There's no easy answers, but at the end of the day, to be quite honest, I know, as far as I'm concerned, and the rest of my colleagues are, we're in good hands, and somehow you'll get us through these difficult times as best we can. Has anyone got any questions for Councillor Glynn on this report? Any comments from anyone? No. Well, can we agree those recommendations in that report, please?
Agreed.
Great.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Glindon. We're now on to item 6, which is, once again, it's you, Councillor Glindon. It's the finance planning and budget process.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm presenting the Cabinet today our initial budget proposals developed in a period of significant uncertainty, financial planning for local government. The financial impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the council started back in March 2020, when the 2021 budget and the medium-term financial plan was agreed back in February. Nobody could have predicted the financial impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, both nationally and locally. Reports published by both the Office of National Statistics and the Office of Budget Responsibility describe the significant economic impact of COVID-19 has had on the public sector finances. This impact has also been felt very locally. Whilst the government has provided some additional funding to cover the financial impact suffered as a result of the pandemic in relation to lost income and additional expenditure, it does not cover all of the financial pressures. Cabinet have just heard, as part of the budget monitoring update for this financial year, as of September 2020, there's an overall pressure of 5.142 million for the general fund, with 4.259 million being specifically related to COVID-19. Throughout the response to the pandemic, the council has provided local leadership and has taken action to maintain the delivery of vital services to residents and businesses across the borough. Additional support has also been given to the NHS and wider health systems through enhanced hospital discharge processes to free up capacity, protect vulnerable people, support businesses, and ensure the safety of all staff delivering this vital work. The ongoing impact of COVID-19, along with the continued uncertainty about the future funding, represents a significant challenge for the council. This report sets out an approach for budget setting that takes account of this. Despite the unprecedented level of risk and uncertainty, the council will continue to develop its budget plans for 2021 and beyond on the basis of maintaining continued progress to deliver the ambition of North Tyneside and the priorities of our North Tyneside plan, which is the council plan. The spending review for 2020 announced on the 25th of November 2020 has confirmed some of the assumptions made in the preparation of these initial budget proposals, but there remains a need for ongoing flexibility to respond to changing circumstances, particularly in the light of forecast economic impacts. The medium-term financial plan will continue to be updated in light of future government announcements, and as the scale of the impact on the council becomes clear, this will be reported to Cabinet and to the Overview, Scrutiny and Policy Development Committee as the budget setting process progresses. It is likely that the provisional local government finance settlement will not be received until week commencing the 14th of December. Therefore, the proposals here today are based on a set of assumptions developed through the planning process. Included in these assumptions are prudent estimates of the impact of housing growth across the borough, which have been adjusted to reflect the potential impact this will have on the housing sector whilst the pandemic continues into 21-22. Projections of the housing growth beyond 21-22 will remain a prudent estimate. This year's spending review announced last week included the assumption that local authorities will increase council tax at a rate of 2% and raise the adult social care precept to 3% to meet the increased costs of service provision. This report sets out details of the impact of 1% general council tax and an increase of 2% the adult social care precept. Considering the cost pressures and the potential reduction in resources in the future, the gap efficiency requirements for 21-22 is currently estimated to be over 6.370 million. This picture over 4 years of the financial plan is an estimated 55.94 million. But there are significant risks associated with the impact of any downturn in the economy, which could have significant impact on the current assumptions into 21-22 and beyond. As in previous years, the assumption used for these initial budget proposals will be updated as and when further information is received and the outcome of the budget engagement is known. The housing revenue account proposals include a recommended rent increase for 21-22 in line with the government policy of 1.5%. The proposals also consider the efficiencies identified as part of the return of the maintenance and construction services to the council. Resources have been realigned to ensure we maintain our stock at a decent home standard and still progress our work to ensure we have more affordable homes across the borough. We have continued to address the challenges of balancing the need to continue to invest to ensure the borough has a strong economy whilst managing the demand for services and supporting vulnerable residents. This year's draft proposals will look at a project, look to protect as far as possible essential services and continue to look to develop new ways of delivering services for our most vulnerable residents. We will maintain our drive to ensure the council works better for residents by continuing to work, making the council work smarter, putting people at the centre of what it does, and ensuring the organisation maximises how it uses public money to achieve residents' priorities. This includes delivering economic success and jobs to the borough. As I said at the start, due to the fact we are waiting for outcome of the provisional settlement and external information, these are initial draft proposals, but this report forms a basis of budget engagement and scrutiny over the next 2 months for both the General Fund and the HRA. I am going to ask the Cabinet to approve it, but first of all, can I ask Councillor Burdis to come in and tell you about the budget engagement.
Thank you, Councillor Glendon. Thank you, Mayor. As you will remember, I updated you in August that this year's engagement approach will be slightly different because of the impact of COVID-19 continues to have on our ability to hold meetings with residents. We will be delivering our engagement across December and January and are endeavouring to offer every opportunity as we have in previous years. We are working to continue with the successful residents panel meetings we have held over the last 3 years, albeit with some adaptations to ensure everyone is safe. As you will remember, this in-depth session provides residents with an opportunity to gain an understanding of the Council's budget and provides feedback. Residents involved have told us that they like the opportunity to talk directly with elected members and officers to discuss the proposals. Any residents can get involved in these sessions by joining the residents panel, and they will be published widely using a variety of routes, including working with our voluntary sector partners. We will also continue to talk with our stakeholder groups, both internal and external, such as the NTSP, staff and trade unions. As in previous years, a questionnaire will also be made available online, and we will try to make this available in hard copy where we can, again considering any guidelines for COVID-19. As in previous years, last year's feedback from residents about the way we engaged was very positive. The face-to-face engagement was well received, with the majority feeling that the sessions were well managed and that there was a clear purpose to the consultation. The sessions had concentrated on areas that they could influence and that our feedback to residents had been good. Our aim is to continue this to ensure that our residents are listened to and valued. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Cabinet Member.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, thank you, Carol. Mayor, can I ask the Cabinet to approve the comprehensive package proposals presented before them as set out in the report? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Glendon and Councillor Burdis. Has anyone got any questions to ask, please? Any comments from anyone? Yes, Councillor Early.
I just want to thank Councillor Glindon and Janice Gillespie and the team for the work they've done so far. I think we all understand what an incredibly difficult year this is going to be in terms of budget setting. So thank you for all your efforts, and good luck with the remaining uncertainties that you face. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Early. Anyone else? Well, I just want to reiterate what Councillor Early has just said, and I think we've got some fantastic officers and some fantastic cabinet members who do work extremely hard to get us through these difficult times. So much so that I, as the mayor, have had a lot of positive feedback from our residents, saying how much how grateful they are for the work that's gone on to manage this council, ensuring that all our essential services are delivered, how you've looked after the vulnerable, to be quite honest, how the teachers, the catering staff, the cleaners have kept everybody going in our schools. So I just want you to know that you're all appreciated, to be quite honest. And for Councillor Glindon and Janice and her staff and everybody else who are involved in the finance, thank you so much. It is extremely difficult to think, to be quite honest, what's going to happen at the end of this, but I know we're in good hands, and somehow or other together we'll get to some kind of solution that will see us through. So thank you all very, very much.
Thank you.
Can I ask, has anybody else got anything to say? No. Then can I ask members to approve the recommendations?
Sorry, Mayor, I was just going to say...
sorry, come on, Councillor Burgess, I do apologise.
I was thanking cabinet members and officers. I just really need to thank and I want to thank the engagement team for all the hard work that they do with the residents panel and everybody. So I think it needs to go on record that I'm thanking them as well. Thank you.
And there's, as Mayor of North Tyneside, it is extremely, I am extremely grateful the way the unions, the way the businesses, the way the voluntary sector have come on board and ensure that, we are looking at as best we can after everyone in the borough in these difficult times. So thank you very, very much, everyone.
Yeah,
so
as we're thanking everybody, can I thank the Deputy Mayor as well?
Oh, yes. Well, he's included when I said, wasn't he? He's always included. He does everything across here. He works extremely hard. Okay, then can we actually approve the recommendations in this report?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Right, thank you very, very much. Okay. We're now on to item 7, and it's the Cabinet Member for Children, Young People and Learning. We're going to Peter Early for this item. Thank you, Peter. Councillor Early.
Thanks, Mayor. Just before I start, I've been having some trouble with my internet stream tonight, so if I start breaking up, just shout or wave at me and I'll try and do what I can to rectify the situation. The purpose of this report is to seek approval to accept the annual funding and contracts offered by the North of Tyne Combined Authority, Education and Skills Funding Agency, and a subcontract offered by Barnardo's for the provision and delivery by the authority of post-16 education, training, apprenticeships and work experience. This funding will enable the authority to deliver a programme of skills provision through its employment and skills service that targets low-skilled, unemployed and disadvantaged young people and adults, thus narrowing the gap in skills attainment and employment levels. The contract period is for 1 year from 1st August 2020 to 31st July 2021, and the aggregate contract value is £2.54 million. The report also seeks approval for delegated authority from the Head of Health, Education, Care and Safeguarding to negotiate and accept future offers of funding subject to consultation. The overall amount of funding offered has been consistently around £2.5 million for a number of years. Section 1.4 of the report sets out how the funding contracts on offer support delivery that makes a significant contribution to the aspirations and outcomes set out in our North Tyneside Council plan, including our people being ready for work and life with the right skills and abilities to achieve their full potential, economic independence and meet business needs, and growing our economy by supporting new businesses and building on our strengths, including our existing world-class companies and small and growing enterprises. being business friendly, ensuring the right skills and conditions are in place to support investment and create and sustain new high quality jobs and apprenticeships for working age people. The two outcomes that will be positively affected by the funding and associated delivery are: one, the gap in education attainment across the borough has been reduced, and two, local employers find it easier to recruit the skilled workforce they need from the local area. Section 1.5 of the report provides additional background on the new arrangements for devolution of elements of funding to the North of Tyne Combined Authority from 1st of August 2020, which will enable a greater control of skills provision delivered across the North of Tyne area to respond to residents and business needs rather than a nationally designed set of priorities. The various funding streams that are contained within the offer of funding from the North of Tyne Combined Authority and Education and Skills Agency, the arrangements for the authority to receive this funding from funders, including the purpose for the funds being provided and types of programmes to be delivered. The process that the Employment and Skills Service, through its Adult Learning Service, undertakes to plan the curriculum for the academic year, and the types of learners that will be supported and the impact that this funding will have in the borough. It is also worth noting that the authority's Adult Learning Service has been delivering adult learning in the borough for over 20 years, and the programmes of learning are delivered wholly by authority employees with no subcontracting taking place to other providers. The service was most recently inspected by Ofsted in 2018 and was graded good with outstanding features, with particular attention given to the impact of the work with unemployed adults, the support provided to young and vulnerable learners, high levels of performance, and highly effective leadership and management of the service. Section 1.6 provides two decision options for consideration by Cabinet. Option 1, Cabinet may approve the recommendations as set out in paragraph 1.2 of the report. Option 2, Cabinet may decide not to approve the recommendations in this report and may request officers to develop alternative options. Option 1 is the recommended option for the following reasons. Firstly, the authority will continue to access resources and deliver provision which supports young people and adults who are unemployed and or low skilled to develop vocational, academic and key skills to support their transition to employment, their development and their ability to sustain themselves economically and contribute to the community. Secondly, the programmes are high performing and judged by key partners as essential to supporting disadvantaged communities. The authority's provision for vulnerable residents has been praised by partners, including the Northumbria Police and Crime Commissioner. Job Centre Plus are similarly positive about the authority's role as a key provider of training and support to unemployed adults in the borough. Employers such as the NHS and businesses across the borough are closely aligned and supportive of the delivery and training to prepare young people for work in a range of sectors. Thirdly, a lack of basic qualifications is causally linked to poorer health and employment outcomes in later life. Supporting the most vulnerable residents to address their key skills has positive benefits in terms of improving the health of unemployed and underskilled people and reducing out-of-work benefit costs. And finally, acceptance of this funding will ensure residents in North Tyneside are not disadvantaged in terms of the level of support available in neighbouring local authority areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Councillor Early, please, regarding that funding? No. Any comments then? Yes, Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Mayor. It's just reference Adult Learning Service, which Peter discussed. On a personal level, my daughter went through the Adult Learning Services for mathematics and succeeded, and it was an excellent service. And she's now, as you know, a student nurse working in a COVID ward. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. It's always good to hear some really positive stories about people moving up and benefiting what we're offering here for our residents and our young people in North Tyneside. So that's a good news story. Thank you very much. Anyone else wants to comment on that particular item? No? All right then. Any comments? Okay, then can we approve the recommendations contained in the report.
Great.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much. We're now on to item 8, and that will be introduced by the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Bruce Pickard. Thank you very much, Councillor Pickard. Over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. This report informs Cabinet of the feedback received to the consultation on a draft updated Northumberland Square Conservation Area character appraisal and seeks Cabinet approval for the adoption of the updated character appraisal as a planning guidance. Character appraisals describe the special character and appearance of a conservation area and are a useful tool in supporting development management decisions, informing planning policy and guidance, and in securing external funding. Northumberland Square Conservation Area was originally designated in 1975 and includes Northumberland Square itself and the length of Howard Street, forming a key route connecting North Shields Town Centre and the riverside. The existing character appraisal of the conservation area was adopted by Cabinet in January 2014. The Council has recently been awarded Historic England funding through their High Street Heritage Action Zones programme to support physical improvements to the historic build and environment within the conservation area and to facilitate a more varied and vibrant uses, including cultural, leisure and tourism uses. As part of the delivery of the Heritage Action Programme, the Council is required to adopt a management strategy for the conservation area that sets out a clear framework for its future preservation and enhancement. A robust conservation area management strategy should also be informed by an up-to-date character appraisal. The adopted 2014 character appraisal for Northumberland Square is not sufficiently up to date to support an effective management strategy. There have been several physical changes in the area, notably the rescue from risk and refurbishment of 13 to 16 Northumberland Square and development of the GAP site to the rear. Additional national and local planning policy and guidance have been updated since 2014. To reflect this, a small number of changes are proposed to the character appraisal and its photographs have been updated. However, the majority of the document remains as adopted in 2014. The draft updated character appraisal was subject to consultation in September and October with public and relevant consultees. Prior to the consultation, engagement took place with ward councillors, and following that, Historic England provided feedback that has been reflected in the character appraisal. A copy of the draft updated character appraisal is available as an appendix at the end of this report. Adopting an updated character appraisal will be in line with the Council's statutory duty and relevant local and national policy guidelines, and it would also support the implementation of the grant funding through the HAZ programme. Therefore, I recommend that Cabinet approve recommendations set out under paragraph 1.2 of this report and agree to adopt the updated character appraisal, incorporating the amendments suggested by Historic England outlined in the report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions for Councillor Pickard? Anyone?
Councillor Margaret Hall, Chair.
Councillor Hall?
It's more of a comment that if the redevelopment of North Shields has half the impact that the Whitley Bay redevelopment has on the town and how it's thought of, it will change North Shields in 2 centuries, after 2 centuries, into a really good place, modern place to live. And I just think it's all extremely interesting as what's happening and what's being planned. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Anyone else? Can I just ask the question, Councillor Pickard? It's really important for people to understand that when we receive money, right, from an organisation like Historic England, it has to be spent, right, on what you identified in the bid. We can't just take that money and spend it anyway. So, because people think, oh, well, you've got that money, what are you doing that for? But you put a bid ahead to do exactly those things you've been telling us about, and it can't be spent on anything else. Is that right?
Sorry, yes, on this particular fund, it's the same as the other ones. And in fact, it goes further on this fund because we have to set up a committee to look at all projects that come under it. And we are just a minority on that committee. It's also users, voluntary organisations and people who have businesses in the town centre. and it also has to have a proper architect who deals with heritage projects on the board as well. So yes, it's very much ring fence how much we can spend that money on, and it has to be in that area. That is the Northumberland Square and Howard Street.
Thank you very much, because I think it's really important for the residents to understand that you know, it's when we are awarded money by these organisations, it's ring fenced and we can't do anything else, because sometimes they say, well, you're short in this area, but you've just got that. Well, we can't just shuffle, we can't veer money anywhere. We have to actually stick to what we actually bid for. So it's important that they understand that. But I just want to say thank you and just build on what Councillor Hall has said. I think when we're finished there's lots going to happen in North Shields. Some things are happening now, and I think the square will be another gem, as far as I'm concerned, in the borough, that we will all appreciate when it's all finished. And it started there now, but it will develop when we start to see other things happening in North Shields. And as Councillor Hall said, to be quite honest, for a long time, to be quite honest, some of our places have been in much need of some regeneration, and things are starting to happen now. So at least that's some good news, regardless of all the sort of other things that we had to deal with. So thank you very much.
I could just add to what Councillor Hall said.
Yeah.
We've released in the last few weeks the properties that we've done in Northumberland Square.
Right.
They've all been bought up above average prices for them immediately, and we now have a waiting list of people waiting for us to open up the properties for sale on Albion Road. So it's already had an effect of driving North Shields up the popularity stakes for places to live.
Thank you very much. That's really good news. And the good news is that what you've been doing on Albion Road fits in perfectly with the rest of the Shields. It doesn't stand out. It doesn't look ugly. It's very attractive. So thank you very much indeed. Much appreciated. Anyone else wants to comment?
Robin Fry from Voda, Redfern.
Pardon?
Robin Fry from Voda has his hand up.
Right,
Redfern.
sorry. Right, over to you, Robin.
Hello, thank you. Yeah, just building on what Councillor Pickard was saying, that alongside some of the kind of big capital work within the Heritage Action Zone, there's also been an opportunity for some smaller arts and heritage organisations to come together. So we're working on a cultural programme to gather people's memories of Howard Street, how important it was in civic life and commercial life, working with the Exchange, Helix Arts and some others. So I think alongside all of this work, there's going to be some really interesting opportunities for local residents to engage in oral history and arts and culture. So we've really enjoyed the opportunity to bring some of those organisations together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's really good news. Anyone else? Okay then, well, can we approve those recommendations in that report then?
Great.
Thank you very much. We're now on to item 9, which is the procurement of adult social care services. And it's Councillor Gary Bell to introduce the support.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The authority currently commissions a range of adult social care services from the independent sector for which contractual arrangements are in place. Current contracts for daycare and extra care services are coming to an end. Within the borough, there are a number of daycare services for older people and for people with a learning disability, mental health, and 9 extra care scheme services. This is a report to seek Cabinet approval to undertake 2 procurement exercises, one for extra care and one for day services, to be put in place new contractual arrangements for these services. Cabinet approval is sought as the aggregated value of these contracts exceeds £500,000. All procurement activity will be compliant with procurement regulations. New contractual arrangements will ensure a continuation of existing services, make sure these services are in place, that they meet demand requirements, and they have good value for money, looking at cost and quality of provision. Services will meet individual clients' needs with high quality delivery and will deliver good outcomes for the individuals. Recommendation for this report is current contracts for the current extra care and day service that support existing adult social care clients will come to an end over the course of the coming year. I therefore recommend that the Cabinet agrees to recommendations as set out by paragraph 1.2 of this report to allow for the procurement exercise to be commenced and awarded contracts following this. And also on this subject, I would just like to thank everyone involved in adult social care services and the voluntary sector for the work they have done over this pandemic. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Bell. Any questions about this report? Roger, could you come in, please?
Yeah. I just wondered if, Gary, there was any investigation into the employees of the independent organisations paying the living wage to their staff.
I think we've obviously engaged with employees and employers when these contracts go for procurement. But what I'll do, Roger, is I'll speak to you. I'll get an answer for you, and I'll speak to you about it. And if you've got any specific concerns, please get in touch with us.
Thanks very much, Gary.
Anybody got any questions? Any comments? Can we approve the recommendations then set out in our report?
Great.
Thank you very much. We're now on to item 10, which is the Children and Young People's Plan for 2021 to 2025. And I'm going to ask Councillor Early to introduce this one.
Thank you, Mayor. This report seeks approval from Cabinet to develop a refreshed Children and Young People's Plan for the Borough, covering the period 2021 to 2025. The Children and Young People's Plan is a key strategic document that sets out the North Tyneside Partnership's commitment, vision and objectives and priorities for improving the life chances and outcomes for our children and young people. It is also a key document in the authority's policy framework, describing how we will deliver a number of objectives set out under the Our People priority in our North Tyneside plan. For several years, the authority and its partners have worked together to deliver a number of key services to children, young people and their families, which have demonstrably improved outcomes in terms of education, health and care. Earlier this year, this was recognised by the authority receiving an outstanding rating for its services to children. More recently, the authority and partners have worked tirelessly to provide effective support to children and young people during the COVID-19 pandemic. This work continues and will inevitably shape the delivery of this plan, whilst our vision remains unchanged. The plan will build on our existing strengths, acknowledge areas of greatest need, and respond to what children and young people tell us is important to them. Cabinet is recommended to approve the initial proposals for the plan and receipt of the final proposals for the plan in February 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Early. Have we got any questions for Councillor Early on this report? Have we got any comments? Yes, is that you, Susie?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I was pleased to hear from the officers about the development of the next plan. It was good to hear that they are intending to talk to young people and children over the next few months to develop the plan that the focus is on making North Tyneside an even greater place for young people to thrive. I was really interested in the priorities that have been identified, including supporting children to be active citizens, which is a priority of mine too. I was also glad to hear about the support for children and young people with disabilities and additional needs. As I mentioned in my update earlier, we have a great Send Youth Forum, and I am pleased to see them included in this and look forward to seeing how they shape this priority further. I am also very happy to see that children and young people's mental health is seen as a priority. As you will be aware, this is my priority too. I would like to thank the officers for taking the time to talk to me and look forward to seeing the final plan. Thank you.
We're always happy to talk to you, Susie, and your colleagues. Don't you ever think we're not. We are always happy. Thank you very much, Susie. Okay, anyone else got any more comments? Peter, Councillor Early, yes, over to you.
Yeah, just in response to Susie's comments, I think our engagement with young people is very strong, and it's absolutely essential in developing this type of plan. We need to always be conscious of listening to our children and young people and strengthening their voice in our planning for services and actions to try and help and assist them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Early. Any more? Any comments from anyone? Any more? No? Okay, then can we actually approve the recommendations contained in this report, please?
Great.
Thank you very much. We now come to item 11, which is the annual review of council policy on covert surveillance, and that I'll speak to this report. The authority's current surveillance policy was approved by Cabinet in November 2019 and is subject to annual review. The draft policy has been considered by the Regulation and Review Committee at its meeting on the 22nd of October 2020 and is now referred to Cabinet for approval. No substantive changes have been proposed, as the previously adopted policy remains fit for purpose. The aims of the authority's policy are to set out the authority's arrangements for complying with RIPA, give effect to the rights of citizens to respect for their private and family lives, and protect the authority from legal challenge when undertaking surveillance. The report details the outcome of virtual online inspection visit from the Investigatory Powers Commissioner's Office on the 7th of September 2020. The purpose of the IPCO inspection, which is the Investigatory Powers Commissioner's Office inspection, was to examine the policies, procedures, operations, and administration authority had in place in relation to the use of directed surveillance and covert human intelligence sources. The outcome of the inspection was very supportive of the authority's actions to manage its responsibilities under RIPA, and a small number of recommendations were made, which are detailed in this report. I'm pleased to report that the inspector made no recommendations in relation to the authority's covert surveillance policy and commented that it is a succinct summary of the approach the Council would take towards the use and management of covert powers. I ask the Cabinet to recommend to approve the authority's draft policy on covert surveillance as attached at Appendix 1. Has anyone had any concerns about this, or can we just go and recommend this as it's set out in Appendix 1?
Mayor,
Recommendation.
Mayor, I haven't got any recommendations, but I do have a comment.
Yes, certainly, Councillor Burgess.
I welcome the report and I would like to commend all of the work that is done up in the control room. I think we've got a really good place up there, and I think the staff, it's worth recognising all the hard work the staff do up there and everybody involved in the covert side of this. Thank you, and I recommend this report.
Thank you, Councillor Burgess. I think the inspectors seem to recognise that, and we do need to thank our members who are involved in such jobs. Yeah, thank you very much. So we can agree this policy, can we, in this report?
Great.
Thank you ever so. Now, before we go on, shall I say to the, let's have a look where we are on, yes, right. Before going to the exclusion resolution, I just want to take this opportunity because it's the last meeting of the Cabinet this year. We don't meet again until January the 25th, but I want to say this opportunity to say to all of you, thank you for the support and the help you've given the Council, to all those people who've been helping us over these difficult times. I'm sure sometimes when we look to the future, we're not quite sure what's ahead of us. But what I do know, if we continue to work together and we actually recognise what our concerns are and find the right solutions by working together, not against each other, I'm sure we'll look to 2020 in a very positive manner. I think there are some really positive things to happen in 2020. if we could just get over this difficult time. But all of you, and many of you are here tonight, shall I say, all my colleagues on the council, the cabinet, businesses reps, businesses in the borough, the voluntary sector, residents, I just want to say, and the unions as well. We all have come together in these difficult times, and we've got through some of them and found solutions to the problems, but we're not there yet. So I'm just asking everyone, in order to build a better future in 2021 for our children and grandchildren, we need to take care over the next holidays. We need to still adhere to the regulations. Our numbers are going down in the borough, which is good, but we don't want to come out of after Christmas with some people who aren't adhering to these regulations. We don't want another spike in January and February. We'll just see us again in Easter in another lockdown. So just thank you very much for all you've done this past year. I wish you all the best. Keep working together with us, and I'm sure in 2021, if we adhere to the regulations, we can look forward to a better future where we can make it much better for our children and our grandchildren. So thank you so much indeed for all you've done. Much appreciated. And can I now ask, it's the exclusion resolution, and ask those who are involved, not involved in the future and the rest of the agenda to leave, please. So thank you so much indeed.